Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Mike Barletta. Today we're going to be going over the December temperature and precipitation outlook for 2019. Now, if you guys haven't seen my winter forecast, you guys should go check that out now. Link will be in the description down below. Now, before we get into it, if you guys could hit that like and subscribe button, it'll really help out a small channel such as myself. And without further ado, let's get into the 2019 December temperature and precipitation outlook. Now, starting off, we're going to be going over the temperature outlook for the month of December. Uh, Getting right into it, starting further south near Texas, Louisiana, southern half of Mississippi, Georgia, and most of Florida, South Carolina. You guys are going to be in the above average category. Now, the reason I have this area in above average, I think there's going to be a lot of a zonal pattern occurring in the month of December. I think there's going to be a southeast ridge setting up, and that's going to pump warmer Gulf of Mexico air into the southern United States. Now you could see I do have slightly above average temperatures ranging from Kansas City to just south of New York City. Now I think this is also going to be due to the southeast ridge impacting these areas. However, they're only going to be slightly above average because I could definitely see a few cold shots coming in, especially towards mid-December. Now, a lot of these areas are going to be ranging well above average for the first week and a half of December. I strongly think that that pattern is going to change by December 10th. Um, but I think there is a chance for some warmer temperatures sprinkled in with the cold shots in the second half of December. That's why for most of these areas I have slightly above average temperatures, but don't let that throw you off. There's definitely going to be some cold shots mixed in there with a lot of the warm temperatures as well. Now, I have mainly normal temperatures ranging from just north of Kansas City to Chicago, Columbus, Buffalo, New York, Boston, Bangor. A lot of these areas are going to be experiencing a generally mild December in terms of impacts. Not too many cold shots, not too many warm shots. It's going to be overall very close to average. Overall, their temperatures are not going to be directly at a zero temperature anomaly, but it should range within half a degree either way. Honestly, I could see a lot of these areas going either way. It's just going to be a matter of whether there's an extra cold shot or an extra push of the warmth in the southeast ridge in a lot of these areas. Now, for further north in areas like Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and northern New England, I definitely think these areas are going to be below average. I know I don't have the words on there because they wouldn't fit on the map, but I definitely think a lot of these areas are going to be experiencing below average temperatures. I think the polar vortex is going to make a couple visits in December and leave most of the country um, below average for at least a week or so uh, during the visits to the polar vortex. Now, the next thing that we're going to take a look at for the month of December is a precipitation outlook. As you can see here, I have almost all of the eastern United States in above normal precipitation. This is for a couple of reasons. I definitely think we're going to have an active southern jet stream. I think this is also going to be cause for more warmer air coming in to the country. We saw this a lot last year where the southern jet was very active and the Pacific jet was very active, and it led to a lot of areas ranging in above normal rainfall and above normal precipitation, but with that precipitation also comes warmer temperatures. I could definitely see a lot of coastal storms, a lot of inland runners for the month of December. That's going to bring above normal precipitation, but that's also going to bring along warmth with it. So don't expect a ton of snowfall in a lot of these areas, but I think there's going to be a lot of rain. Currently, the southeast, especially Texas, through Florida, is in a drought. I think December will put an end to a lot of that drought area. I think there's going to be a lot of moisture coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. I think there's going to be a lot of southern storm tracks where the south gets doused in rain. I think there's definitely going to be opportunities for flooding, especially in a lot of these areas that haven't seen a ton of rain. I think they're going to be overwhelmed for a little bit, but overall, that would be a lot better than being in a constant drought. But overall, most of the East Coast and eastern third of the United States, I have an above normal precipitation. If there's anywhere that might be normal to slightly below normal, I think it'll be the upper Midwest or the Northwest United States. I have them in normal currently, but I definitely think there's a chance that they end on the slightly lower side. And just a quick point, I think a lot of these cities from New Orleans to Bangor, a lot of this precipitation is going to be from coastal storms as well. I think we could definitely see a big coastal storm or two in a lot of these areas that'll put us above average, whether that be snow or rain or maybe a mix of the two. It's way too early to tell. There's not specific dates, specific storms, but I definitely think some of this precipitation is going to be from coastal systems. Now, here I have forecasted the overall outlook for December. Getting right into it, starting in the south, I think a lot of areas in the southern third and the southern tier of the country are going to be warm and wet. Definitely think, I stated before, there's going to be warm and above normal temperatures, and I also think there's going to be a very wet period. As I stated previously, I think there's going to be a lot of drought busting. I think the drought that's currently in the southeast is going to go away. There's definitely going to be above average precipitation in these areas, and I certainly think there's going to be above normal temperatures. Whenever it's cooler in these areas, there definitely could be a couple cold shots. Whenever it's cooler, I definitely think it's going to be more of a dry pattern, so we're going to get into a more warm and wet and cool and dry pattern for a lot of these areas down south. So from the panhandle of Texas through New York and Boston, I think this is going to be the winter battleground. I definitely think in these areas we'll see a couple of rounds of snow, maybe right around normal snowfall for this time of year, but I definitely think a lot of these storms are going to miss to the north and lead to an icy mix or maybe just plain rain in a lot of these areas. This isn't too uncommon for December, but I definitely think that there will be an above average number of storms that either mix or are rain. Therefore, this is going to be the winter battleground area. I can really see it going either way. If a couple storms go a little further to the south, this area could get a lot of snow, but I think the average storm track is going to be directly over these areas, and of course that'll lead to more warm air pushing in, and it'll lead to more rain and or mixed events. Now, I also want to talk about areas from Kansas City to Bangor, Maine. I think a lot of these areas, this is going to be the jackpot for December at least, possibly going forward into winter and 2020. But I think a lot of these areas, there's going to be a very active storm track just to the south, as I stated before. That's why a lot of those areas are in a winter battleground. I think these areas, Kansas City, Chicago, Columbus, Buffalo, north of Boston, Bangor, I think there's going to be a lot of snow in these areas. I think it's going to be a very active storm track. This is going to be the perfect mix in these areas, I believe, with a temperature gradient in just north and just south of these areas. I think storms are going to form and track just south of these areas, lead to a lot of snow, possibly some rain events too, with cutters or storms that go too far north, but I definitely think these areas are going to be in the jackpot for snow for December. Now, the last area I want to take a look at is the northern Midwest and the Northwest. These are areas I think are going to be slightly below normal temperature wise, but I think they're going to be dry. I think, same for the South, they're going to get in cold and dry patterns and warm and wet patterns where the cold isn't able to mix with the wet and the heat isn't going to be able to mix with dry. I definitely think these areas are going to be a little below average for snowfall and a little below average for temperatures. Now, I don't think this will persist through the whole winter. I think a lot of these areas will finish above normal for snowfall, but for December specifically, I definitely think they're going to be in a little bit of a drier pattern. Overall, that's the December forecast. If you guys have any questions, any comments, please leave them down below. I'm going to do my best to answer them. You guys should follow me on Twitter at MikeBWeather. That's where I do a lot of my model analysis, where I'll tell you guys how I came up with this forecast. Um, Also, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It'll definitely help me out a lot as a small, growing YouTube channel. I'm really just trying to make a place for myself here in this YouTube community. Thank you guys. Have an awesome day, and I'll be back with more content soon.